In this video, we're going to look at massage risk assessment task for project 1. So basically this task is asking us to look at a massage organisation and identify what are some risks that the organisation may be exposed to. So for this project, you need to be able to identify the organisation's risks, analyse these, assess them, treat the risks, and then implement a risk management program. So there's several parts to this, and each of these parts will give you additional information. So you're required to analyse the risks that your operation could be exposed to, and for each of these you must classify the risk and identify the source, identify any area of impact on the organisation, consider the source of the risk, and identify whether or not specialist assistance is going to be needed. So when we're going through this, we're going to then classify the risks. So they will be classified basically on all of these points that you can see here. So it's up to you to choose, based on the scenario, which one is going to be most likely the best fit. The sources of the risk could be an internal or an external risk. And again, you've got your certain points to be able to choose from. When we analyse the risk, we're going to then have a look at how is it currently being controlled. What is the likelihood of that risk turning into an accident, an injury, or a loss? What would the consequence of that then be? And then we're going to use that information to be able to analyse the risk. So to be able to help you with that section there, we've provided a template for this table. So think about what the situation is, and is it very likely, likely, unlikely, or very unlikely that that would happen? And then you also need to think about, well, if it was to happen, what would the result be? So would it just be that they need first aid? Would they need medical attention and several days off work? Long-term illness or serious injury? Could it kill or cause permanent damage? And then when you compare the two, if you match them up, so if we were to say that something is unlikely, but it could kill somebody, that then becomes a high risk. So we'll use this table as you go through. Once we've done that, we then need to start to look at, well, what are we going to do as a result of that? So are we going to avoid that risk so we don't get exposed to it? Are we going to reduce the risk? Are we going to transfer that so that that responsibility is going to be pushed over to somebody else? Will we finance that risk, or are we going to retain it? So are we saying that it's not that significant a risk that we need to change things? We're going to accept that, and you would do that more for your lower risks. So if I have a look at the table with this one, so to answer part 1 through to 3, there's a template that you can use. So if you download that template, I've basically filled in one as an example. So if we look at a broken massage table as the risk, classification for that is going to be a product liability because it's the massage table. Our source of the risk could be from natural events, it could be from individual activities, or it could be from human behaviour. So is it just wear and tear on that massage table, or is it because it wasn't used in a correct and safe way that's what's causing that massage table to be broken? The area of impact, it's going to impact on client safety. It's then also going to impact on our operations and financial side of things as well. So operationally, if we need to cancel massages because we don't have a table, that's one part of it. But again, if we're having to cancel massages because we don't have the table, that then becomes a financial issue as well. Our current controls, so what are we currently doing for it? We're making sure that we check the tables daily and addressing maintenance issues ASAP. So the likelihood of an injury resulting, the table is broken, it's likely that an injury could occur. So whether that becomes from the shock that it causes on the person's body, or they may even fall off the table. Consequences of that could be a long-term illness or a serious injury. So again, to come up with these two, I've used that table that we were talking about before. And to then get my risk rating, when I matched them up, it became very high. So my evaluation criteria that I use to get to this very high risk rating is doing physical checks, using that risk evaluation table, but then also having discussions with other health professionals. A risk priority, I consider that to be a fairly high priority because you've got to ensure the safety of our clients, but also think about that financial burden. What action is to be taken? We're going to avoid it. So no treatments using that table until it's fixed or replaced. So again, we're coming back to these 5 parts to identify that section. And is specialist assistance required? And if yes, who? But for that, we're not going to need anyone. So once we've done this, and you're going to do this for 6 different things all up. So if I have a look at my table, I can see there's space for 6 different risks. You're then going to monitor and evaluate a risk management program. So working in a group of 2 to 3, you're required to monitor and implement and analyse the effectiveness of the risk management program. We're then going to conduct that evaluation and prepare a report that addresses the following. So the overall effectiveness of the risk management plan, how it is ensured that changes within the organisation don't alter risk priorities, are the acceptable or low risks still acceptable? List and analyse activities, projects, or operations which do not achieve their performance outcomes according to the risk management program and identify what the potential cause of that is. Analyse any incidences which occurred that indicate a near miss and review the control measures in a risk management plan. So if we've just had a near miss with something, is that something that's going to prompt somebody to look into that further? Make recommendations for change to the current plan. Make recommendations for the conduct of future risk analysis audits. So is this something we actually want to put in as something separate that gets done? From the areas you've identified and needing additional change, prioritise what should be done first and then start to create an action plan to complete these. And then also think about what potential barriers to improvement are going to exist. So if we go back to our document that we were writing our risks in, we've then got space to be able to discuss this. So within your group, you're going to form that WHS committee, put in the date and put in the names of the people that are in your group, and then just go through and answer each of those dot points. Put in what the changes are that need to be made and that expected completion date. So do you want that done within 1 week, 2 weeks, a month, by the end of the year? So I just want to be able to see that you have prioritised it and been able to identify any changes. Now, if you haven't been able to do this for a certain massage space, you can use it for the clinic that we've got, or you could also use it for the VFA gym, because both of them will have different aspects that you can look at to be able to help you identify the different risks and how you could go about making that safer. If you have any questions on any of this, please make sure you are talking to your assessor and they'll be able to give you further explanation.